Don with your hosts, Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci, and remember to subscribe to us on all of the major platforms, wherever you find all of your other favorite podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. And also remember to follow and subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. We got a lot of football here to discuss. It's been a while since we've been on the air because of everyone's favorite, JT Jimmy Thompson, always being busy. So let me welcome him in. JT, how you feeling today?
Damn, I mean, I really can't respond to that. You just really putting this all on me? All right. That must mean I must be the franchise quarterback of this group because, you know, you're right. I get all the glory when we win, but if we're not winning, I get the blame. So I appreciate it, man. That you calling me the franchise quarterback. I'll take that designation.
Hey, and I'm the head coach of this.
Nah, we're not doing that shit. Let's get started.
You
always think you're Sean McVay. You're not Sean McVay. Just because you got spiky hair and glasses don't make you Sean McVay.
Sean McVay does not have glasses. So let's
let you tell the story. He probably did at some point, and that's where you got it from. But you think you some mastermind offensive coordinator because you got the spiky hair. You're not the coach.
Anyway, I never said any of that. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, so NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game. Let's do a recap of those four teams. Those two games, JT, could not have been any more opposite in terms of competitiveness. You had the Eagles setting an NFC Championship game record with 55 points against the Commanders, while the Chiefs won an NFL record 17th straight one-possession game, meaning they won 17 straight games where it was a one-possession score, all right? They haven't won 17 straight games, obviously, but when it's been a one-possession game, they have won 17 straight. I think the last time they lost, JT, was like December of, 2023. Or maybe the Raiders.
The Bengals?
It was the Bengals or the Raiders. Yeah, one of those two back in December of 2023. I think it might have been that Raiders game. But so let's start with the Chiefs. Are they really this good, or is it the refs?
I think you just answered the question. Repeat that stat again. How many games they won in a row in single possession score games?
17 straight.
There you go right there. They're that good when it matters. I mean, that's the definition of clutch. And on top of that, they don't turn the ball over, and they always play the best in the tightest moments. And there's no other team that can say they do that. Like, they might have a bad first quarter, second quarter, but when it comes to that fourth quarter and that game is tight, they turn to Tim Tebow and they get done. So, I mean, they are this good. And I know it's easy to say, like, oh, you know, the refs, this and that. Do the refs give them some calls? Absolutely. But I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is no more protected than any of these other quarterbacks in the league that aren't considered running quarterbacks. Because I'm sorry, they all get calls that we don't agree with when it goes against our team. So, I think they're this good, and, you know, we should be glad that we're witnessing this greatness. It is what it is.
They definitely get calls, and they get calls in crucial situations, either game-turning type of calls or late in the game calls. But the coach inside of me says, hey, you got to play through those. You know, Jimmy Johnson's phrase that he told the team going into Notre Dame in the 1988 supposedly is, hey, we're going into South Bend. Don't leave the game in the hands of the officials. If you're playing the Chiefs and you leave the game in the hands of the officials, meaning that 4th and 1, you might be this short or you might have gotten it by this much, you're going to be short. You've got to get it by more than a yard to clearly get it. And so, you know, you look at the Chiefs, they're really this good. They're back-to-back champs, JT, possibly the first team ever to win 3 in a row. But even if they don't, they still won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. If they win this time, they would win 4 in 6 years. Only the 70 Steelers have done that. I mean, they've got Mahomes and Andy Reid. Andy Reid is 4th in all-time wins as a head coach in NFL history, 2nd in postseason wins all time, only behind Bill Belichick. I mean, you've got Steve Spagnuolo, who, to me, he is this era's Dick LeBeau, right? Not such a great head coach.
You comparing somebody to Dickie LeBeau? Let me mute my mic. This must be serious.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his trajectory, right? Got a chance as head coach after being a good DC, doesn't make it as head coach, and then becomes this great DC where he basically stays with the organization throughout while they have a solidified head coach and a solidified franchise quarterback. And all of a sudden now he's become like the godfather of defensive coordinators, right? He's dialing up corner blitzes off of trips, and no one's expecting it, not even Joe Brady.
You might be right, though, because Chris Jones just said the same thing. It's like, hey, as long as NFL teams don't want to give Spags a job, they're going to keep allowing us to win these Super Bowls because he is the secret weapon. Like you could tell he's getting more comfortable. Like he's in his bag, like you said, blitzing Trey McDuffie now in crucial situations. Like there's no way you can stop that, man. Chris Jones alone is impossible to stop, and now they put these young pieces around him on this defense that are actually good too. So, I mean, you forget Spagnuolo's been a great defensive coordinator before he was a head coach too. So it's not like, he's like this. He's this person that just emerged. Like he's always been a great defensive guy, and you say it sometimes too. Sometimes guys make better coordinators than coaches. It just works out that way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Chris Jones because that was the other part of the Dick LeBeau side of things where he had such a great relationship with his players. I mean, the Troy Palomalus, the James Harrisons, like they'll go to bat for Dick LeBeau anytime of the day. And I think you're starting to see it with the Chief players too now, right? They've had many different pieces come and go lately, Chris Jones being one of the mainstays, but other guys have come and go. And all of a sudden, like McDuffie's maybe one of the best corners in the league. Like, no,
Karlaftis has turned into a hell of a pass rusher.
Exactly. Granted, a first-round pick, but so my whole point is you look at overall, I mean, they've got all the pieces. Like, they've been doing this. Let's not just take the easy road and say it's the refs.
All right.
So let's look at the other team in the AFC title game, the Bills. Why can't the Bills beat the Chiefs? They beat them in the regular season, but now I believe they're 0-4 against the Chiefs in the playoffs. I think out of the last 5 years in the playoffs, they've lost 4 times to the Chiefs.
Destiny, man. Sometimes it's just like that. You saw people went through with the Patriots. Like, think about all the great teams just in the AFC alone.
The Steelers.
You guys, Baltimore. Like, all those great teams that when you look back, like Peyton Manning falls into this situation too. Like, all these great teams, great offenses, great defenses that just never got a chance to be great because Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were at the top waiting for him. There's nothing they could do about it.
But at least with Manning, though, he at least got him twice in the AFC title game. Like, Josh Allen now is 0-4 in the playoffs.
But I'm saying, though, like, we're talking about Peyton Manning. Like, take Tom Brady out of it, Peyton Manning could be the best quarterback of all time. Like, God knows how many championships he might have. But sometimes you just run into a team that's in your era, and there's nothing you can do about it. To be honest, I feel like there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks in our generation that are going to be Hall of Famers, no doubt about it, and they're not going to have a ring. And it's because of Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, that's the answer to the question. They can't beat the Chiefs because they've got maybe the best quarterback of all time and a top 3 coach. Like, I think that's solidified now. Top 3 coach all time, Andy Reid. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, Josh Allen, McDermott, and Joe Brady against those two. Like, that's not a competition. So it's just the Chiefs are just that great. That's why the Bills can't beat them.
Yeah, it took you about 4 minutes to get to an answer you could have done in 4
Actually,
seconds.
it was 45 seconds. Relax. Give us your long diatribe about the history of the game. Give us your stats from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, all the shit we don't care about. Go ahead. I'm timing you.
You took forever. Now you're taking up more of my time. It's Mahomes and Andy Reid. You said it at the end. Why can't they beat the Bills? Mahomes and Andy Reid. Andy Reid's an offensive coach. And as a combo, when you have that offensive head coach and a generational quarterback, meaning he can make all the throws and wins, I mean, that's the difference. That's the difference maker. I mean, it is, throw out like all the numbers, throw out the refs, forget Kincaid dropping the ball. It's Mahomes and Andy Reid. They are the new Brady and Belichick. And it's like, it's that combination that just makes it too tough to beat Mahomes and Andy Reid. So let's stick with the Bills. Who deserves the most blame? The head coach McDermott, the quarterback Josh Allen, or you're going to put this loss on somebody else?
Hey, man, look, I don't make the rules. I don't move goalposts. Quarterbacks, they get the credit when they win, and that's the way it is, right? So they got to get the blame when the team loses. I got to blame Josh Allen. And I know this seems like I'm being bitter, but
You are, but it's okay. Go ahead.
I really do have to blame him because, first of all, let's look at the stats. Under 250 passing yards in the biggest game of the year, probably the biggest game of your life. Like, we need you to go off. Like, he should be top 2 MVP discussion. He's a generational talented quarterback. Like, he's Superman. I get that. But we need you to go off. Like, they needed the Josh Allen from, the 2021 divisional game where they had those epic fireworks and then they had to change the rules because they didn't get another chance to get on the field and score. Like, they needed that Josh Allen. Where is that regular season Josh Allen that I'm used to seeing? The 5 or 6 touchdown Josh Allen, 350 yards passing, 90 yards rushing. Like, they needed that guy to show up in this biggest game to get them to the Super Bowl. And he did it. Like, we can nitpick about, the stuff that the professionals have said in the media. The last play, how he didn't do the protection slide the right way, or the fact that Khalil Shakir was really the only guy open on that play that didn't get it to. Like, I get that stuff. In the moment, things don't go as planned, but it's the quarterback. Like, he got to play better. Also, low-hanging fruit is Joe Brady. I'm sorry. He still sucks. And he sucked in Carolina. He's been riding the coattails of Steve Esminger ever since he was the pass game coordinator that didn't call the plays on that great LSU national championship team. And he's been arrogant about it ever since. Simply put, the Bills were as good as they were this year because the AFC East sucked. Like, that is what it is. But in this particular moment, I got to put the onus on Josh Allen because he needed to do more, and he didn't. And that is what it is.
I think you can make an argument for that. There's no doubt. But,
he's being irrational on this show. That's dangerous. I don't know what's going on.
I also think, though, that the head coach is the same way. Gets too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose.
He don't get no credit when they win. It's the opposite for him, though. He gets zero credit.
So there's your answer. There's a reason for it. So I'm going to go McDermott. You're a defensive head coach, right? Sean McDermott, defensive head coach. He gave up 43 rushing yards to Patrick Mahomes, and some of those rushing yards were in critical situations. On top of that, you still gave up how many points? 32 points. Like, where's your defense going to make a stop? 39, JT. They go man coverage at the end. They could have gotten the ball back with 50 seconds, and that's all they needed was a field goal to tie. Those are the differences between Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, and then the Sean McDermotts, right? You've got like Sean McVay, you've got Bill Belichick, you've got Andy Reid, all Super Bowl winners, and then you have the Kyle Shanahans and then the McDermotts. They're right there knocking, but they can't get there because of decisions like that. 39, you're a defensive head coach. You go, man, they just slipped that running back right out there, bringing all the other receivers over the middle. But more importantly, so it's not just the situations he puts his guys in or the positions, but then the situations. He started chasing points with these 2-point conversions, and he didn't have quite good enough plays ready. So all of a sudden now, when you lose by 3, in theory, you probably could have won by 1 or 2. And I know going for 2 and not is like hindsight, it's 2020. But I mean,
because when Dan Campbell does this shit, it's great. It's profound. Like, we've never seen anything like this.
The difference is when Andy Reid does it, it's usually successful, and it ends up being the reason why.
Well, because Andy Reid knows he got Patrick Mahomes in his back pocket.
But you also have
Josh supposed to be with Josh Allen. Like, you got a top 3 quarterback in your back pocket. Okay. Like, everything in the playbook is on the table.
Let me ask you,
is that not true?
Let me ask you this. This is the difference. You've got Xavier Worthy making all these great catches. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster making all these great catches.
Shout out Juju Smith-Schuster, outliving Antonio Brown.
Dalton Kincaid, You got to make that play. Josh Allen, even though they didn't slide the protection, that was a hell of a pass. You've got to admit, he beats the rush to the outside.
He shouldn't have made that pass. He should have passed it to Shakir and trust the play. But I get it. But in that moment, you think you got to go all or nothing. I get it.
He made the play you wanted. If that was Mahomes to Tyreek, it's a catch, and we're saying that's an unbelievable throw by Mahomes, and we don't even give any credit to Tyreek Hill on the catch. So, I mean, Kincaid's got to make that catch. I just don't know what else you want from Josh Allen. I think it comes down
I want more. I want more than 250 yards passing. I want regular season. I want regular season Josh Allen. I want number one fantasy player every year, Josh Allen. Is that too much to ask for one more game?
That is not realistic. This is the difference.
How's that not realistic? It is unrealistic to ask somebody who has done this for 16 games for 5 straight years to do it in another game. That's too much to ask for?
I'll tell you why. Let's go back to Lamar and John Harbaugh.
Come on. Why are we always moving? I wasn't going to do this on this show. Why are we always moving the goalpost for this man? We are. He didn't get it done. Get it done. If this were Lamar Jackson, we'd be talking. He's got to do better. We don't ever mention how John Harbaugh is in these situations, because I've always said he's not a great coach, but we never bring that up. We never bring up the weapons. We never bring up any of these other excuses that we're giving Josh Allen. And here we are doing it again. It's the quarterback. You're either going to get it done or you're not.
JT, there's two differences.
Oh, my God.
Lamar's 2-time MVP, and for however much you don't like Harbaugh, he's top 5 like in postseason wins all time, and he has a Super Bowl. McDermott doesn't. So that's why I'm going to put on McDermott. Like, Josh Allen played a clean game, 2 touchdowns. He did exactly what Mahomes did with less pieces. I don't know what else you want.
Less pieces?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, also, shout out to Joe Brady for deciding, hey, like, James Cook is cooking, and we're just not gonna give him the ball.
Yeah,
Ty Johnson, get in there. Let's get you some plays. Are you fucking Sean McDermott responsible for that?
Absolutely.
Why is Ty Johnson even? Why is Ty Johnson even on in the game plan? This dude has been a committee back his whole entire life, and he's usually the 3rd or 4th in the committee. And now he's getting things schemed up for him in the biggest playoff game.
And that's the problem right there. That's the problem. That's
Joe Brady. Joe Brady.
You are not this.
Say his name. He's not Candyman. Say his name. It's Joe Brady.
JT, you are too smart for this. You're telling me the head coach has no say in who plays? Get out of it. Now you're reaching. All right, let's go to the Eagles. You lost that one clearly.
Nah, you just don't want to blame Josh Allen, and I'm not letting you get away with it.
I just did because I.
Nah, you didn't. Sean McDermott.
Do the Eagles have the best roster in the NFL?
Absolutely. Best lines on both sides of the ball, best running game, best defense. The only thing they don't have is the best quarterback. Like, the roster is unbelievably talented from top to bottom. That's nothing else to say about it.
I'm going to disagree. When healthy, it's the Detroit Lions. I mean, you go look at that team, what they did and how they did it. Part of it's the brilliance of Aaron Glenn on defense, but the depth of the secondary, that just goes to show me they had talent on that roster that they couldn't see the field, but when they got a chance to play, they played really well. Now, granted,
it's like every other game, somebody on defense like broke a bone or something. It was crazy.
The next guy up, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson out, and all of a sudden now they make a trade, and the next guy comes in. Just one thing after another. In Detroit, I know you're going to laugh at this, but being a special teams guy, Detroit has the better kicking game than Philly too.
I mean, they got the better kicker because Elliott, man, he's not all there all the time. All right, let me do this the right way so that you won't get all upset. I see you put it in the description,
word by word.
Because I don't read it word for word. You get all upset. You threaten to leave the show. I created this damn segment, so I don't know why you so invested in it. But it's time to play the NFL Checkdown game. We will ask a question, then provide multiple answers to that question, and then we will pick the answer that we think fits best. Is that lives up to your lofty expectations?
Yeah, because I wrote it down for you. If I did it, you would ask me to explain it.
All right. Actually, we're going to bring back something we haven't done in a while. So usually when, NFL coaches come on board, they get hired. We do this love it, like it, trash it. Pretty self-explanatory. Trash it, we hate it. Love it. Excellent hire. Like it. All right, we like it. It's in the middle somewhere. So let's start with Ben Johnson to the Bears. Love it like it, trash it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. He stays in the division for him. He gets to work with Caleb Williams. Listen, buy all the stock you can in Caleb Williams. I mean, they're going to be a team.
She's not going to sell them to you. So I don't know why you trying to tell her through the show. She's not going to sell you. She's not going to sell you Caleb Williams.
This is not a dynasty fantasy football.
You made it a dynasty.
So I mean, listen, I love this honestly for them. I think they finally got it right because you've got that franchise quarterback. You've invested so much into that pick, and you've got to put the pieces around him. I think offensive pieces you have there, you've got to put the mind to it now, and I think they finally got it right.
Yeah, I love it. And you said it perfect. The reason I love it is the arrogance of this man to stay in the division. That's my type of pettiness. So, and we've been saying it for years. Like, the Bears need to get an offensive guru, like a real offensive coach, and they got the offensive coach. Ben Johnson's been the top candidate for the last 2 years. Like, he could go anywhere he wanted to. So Bears nailed it.
My only
finally.
concern, JT, as always, is he a much better coordinator than a head coach. But you had to hire him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Caleb.
You got to be wrong. You got to be wrong. Exactly. If you really want to talk about a concern, my concern is the talent on Detroit. Because if we're being honest, Detroit probably has 5 guys on that team that are like on Hall of Fame arcs. Like, they that good. So is it the chicken or the egg at that point? So we're going to find out really soon. But I'm imagining that Ben Johnson is as good as advertised. I mean, you just don't turn Detroit into something that we've seen the past 2 or 3 years and not be legit. So I think the Bears got it right. Next one, Liam Cohen, your guy, Jaguars head coach. I'm going to turn my mic off because you're about to glaze the hell out of Trevor Lawrence for the next 20 minutes.
You already know. You already know the answer. Love it. Love it. This goes to show you how they finally got it right in Jacksonville, too. No one wanted to go there because of Trent Baalke, especially Liam Cohen. He actually went back and got like a record deal as offensive coordinator in Tampa. Jacksonville realizes, hey, that's the guy, right? We've got our quarterback. We've got to surround him with pieces. Everyone's starting to see that. Everyone except the Steelers is starting to see you've got to build around the quarterback. And Jacksonville goes ahead and finally gets rid of Baalke, brings back Liam Cohen in and hires him. Great. I mean, you have the offensive pieces, just like in Detroit, just like in Chicago. You've got to have that offensive mind in. No offense to Doug Peterson. I actually don't know how much credit he gets with the Philly Super Bowl now. It may have just been a perfect storm, right? Foles coming in, Peterson with Frank Reich. Maybe those guys are just a little bit better offensive coordinators than head coaches.
I mean, if we being honest, that Philly team was loaded on the staff too. Like, just look at all the guys that have come out of there. Peterson, you said Frank Reich. They also had Shane Steichen was in there. I'm assuming Sirianni was in there somewhere too. So
I think Gannon,
head coaches on that roster.
Gannon was on that staff, right?
Oh yeah, defensive coordinator, John. I think like
so. I mean, I love it again. I think you've got to build around the quarterback. Jacksonville, listen, Liam Cohen might be a terrible head coach. I don't know, but you had to make this.
I mean, put your stamp on it. You love it, right?
You had to. I love it. I've said it 4 times.
All right, cool. Him being a weirdo aside, I'm going to say I like it, and I'm going to tell you why. He did a great job with the Bucs last year, but I also saw this with Dave Canales. Like, I think we're still underrating Baker, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, even at this age, and those Bucs weapons. Like, he's a good play caller, but that's a really good team. Like, we've seen it 2 years in a row. Like, I think going and coaching Baker Mayfield to a good season is not the flex it once was like 3 years ago. Like, he's legitimately a good quarterback, and we're starting to see why he went number 1 overall for a reason. Like, this guy's a Heisman Trophy winner too. So with Liam Cohen, I think this grade will be as good as his reclamation project with Trevor Lawrence. So it can turn into a love it, but I like it just because it's not like he coached somewhere where he like made all these guys great and now he's going on somewhere else and doing the same thing. Like, they were already good before he got there. So is it him or were the Bucs just that good? But I think he is a good coach, and the Jags had to make this decision just like the Bears did. So I like it, but not loving it just because Dave Canales showed me. Dave Canales showed me, like, you are a good coach, but the Bucs are damn good offense.
But JT, they both built that offense in a sense, because Baker went from Cleveland to Carolina to the Rams. No one wanted him. So part of it is knowing your personnel and knowing who's good. Obviously, Canales had a good sense of that. So did Cohen. I mean, look what he did with Jalen McMillan once Godwin went out. And then,
bro, this ain't a dynasty show. I get it. You want to hype Jalen McMillan up.
Look how great he was with that backfield. Rashad White, Bucky Irving, and Sean Tucker. I mean, come on, it was a plug and play.
Hey man,
not all three of those quarterbacks.
Hey, why are you talking about Sean Tucker? That's so unnecessary.
Not all three running backs can be that good. Some of that has to be the system.
I agree. That's why I said I like it, but he's going to coach Trevor Lawrence in the bones of Travis Etienne. So we're gonna see how good he is. Next one, Brian Schottenheimer, Cowboys. Love it, like it, trash it.
Listen, this is no offense to Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh, this about to be hella offense to Brian Schottenheimer.
You hear things like he's a really good dude. Obviously knows his football. I'm gonna trash it for this reason, because of the Cowboys taking the easy way out, right? And the reason being is Jerry Jones, he wants to be able to control his head coach. He wants to be able to make all the moves, all the decisions, and he wants to always have the last word. That's why I trash it. It has nothing to do with Schottenheimer. Jerry Jones refuses to bring in a guy like a Bill Belichick. He tried it once with Parcells after the Jimmy Johnson days, and he realized, whoa, these guys know what they're doing.
He's like, this ain't my speed.
Yeah, they don't let me get a say in here, and this is my team. Forget that. So he just keeps going with guys that he knows and guys that will placate to him. Jason Garrett, no offense. Mike McCarthy, now Schottenheimer. He did that with Chan Gailey. I mean, that's why he hung on to those coaches well beyond probably what any other owner would have. I actually praised Jerry Jones a little bit for his patience, but now you realize the patience was he could just control those guys. And he's going to do the same thing with Schottenheimer. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to get anywhere. So that's why I'm going to trash it. It has nothing to do with Schottenheimer. He could have brought in, another guy that was.
Let's say it's not Schottenheimer, he brings in somebody like Kellen Moore. Do you still trash it?
Probably, because he's going to control Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is not going to have enough.
If it was Dion, you trashing it?
No, that's different, because Dion, we know, will stand up to him. And it's not to say these other guys won't stand up, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna be willing to put their job on the line to say no to him. Dion would, because he knows he can go back to college and make just as much money in 2 minutes, whereas Kellen Moore can't.
I agree with everything.
Back to being OC.
I agree with everything you're saying. I'm gonna say like it, just because it's the unknown. I have no idea what to expect from this hire. Like, who's the staff? Like, what's the plan? Like, I just don't know. And we consistently go through this with the Cowboys when they hire coaches, because we said the same thing about Mike McCarthy. Is like, I don't like that hire. Like, that's bad. And then all he does is win 10 games this season. Jason Garrett, wasn't terrible, but he just wasn't elite to get him to where we thought they should be. So I want to give Schottenheimer a chance. Like, we know he'll be a puppet for Jerry Jones, but I mean, just because he's a puppet don't mean they can't win. Like, we act like Jerry Jones is like, all right, I'm hiring guys. I don't want them to win. I just want to sell merchandise to make money. Like, no, he actually wants to win. Now, whether he does the right things or not to actually win.
I disagree with that. He wants to win his way.
That's what I'm saying. So, hey, a broken clock is right twice a day. So maybe one of these times his way works and they get through. So whatever coach just happens to be there will get the credit. So I want to say I like it just because this is the Dallas Cowboys. If this ain't like he's going to the Carolina Panthers, where it's like the roster is terrible, like ownership is the worst in the league. Like, it's just this situation you don't want to be in. It's the Cowboys. Like, they still going to be a 9 to 10 win team just because they have the quarterback already. They got a superstar receiver. They got a superstar pass rusher. They have a pretty decent defense when healthy. So he's got the buildings there to at least be competitive. So I want to see what happens. So I'm going to say I like it. Trash is a little bit too harsh. You're a guy, Mike Vrabel, Patriots.
My guy.
Love it like it, trash it.
He's not my guy.
That's your guy, man.
I like it. I mean, listen, it's the Patriot way. He's going to fit right in there. He knows the organization. Organization knows him. It's not a risky move. So, again, like it. I don't love it just because, again, you have a Drake May in there, and now he's building the staff with Josh McDaniels again. Like,
same old shit.
Exactly. I would have brought in an offensive guy. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you see it. You see it. Sean McVay with whatever quarterback is there, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Jalen Hurts, Sirianni. Now they've got in there twice. Tom Brady with Bruce Arians. All offensive guys with these great quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, Shanahan with Jimmy G, Shanahan with Brock. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, other than Bill Belichick, there's not too many defensive coaches I can name in the last 10 years that have made the Super Bowl. Like, I'm sorry.
Dan Quinn.
In the last 10 years, yeah, I guess 2017. And look what happened. I mean, you know,
he just took a rookie quarterback back to the NFC Championship game. So it's not impossible for defensive coaches to win.
He did a good job with Cliff Kingsbury. I told you about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is great.
This ain't the Dan Quinn show, bro.
Okay, so we'll get to that another day. But you know,
I hear what you're saying. And we talked about this when they were doing the interviews and stuff. I'm like, I wanted them to get Ben Johnson, but there's pros and cons for both of those hires. You said it. Ben Johnson's never been a head coach, so it's like, can he do it? And can he do it in New England, living up to the ghosts of all these legends? Or do you go with Mike Vrabel, who has the experience, has proven he can win in less than optimal conditions? And I feel like that's where the Patriots had to make the decision. For the long term, I love it because that's what they hired him for, long-term stability. The Josh McDaniel things, I knew that was going to happen. I don't love it, but at least he has a track record as an OC of being successful. So it'll be much better than what they had last year and what they've had basically since he left being the OC. So the only way is up, but you want to, give Mike Vrabel shit, but you forget he always won with a less talented roster in Tennessee. He had us thinking for a minute that Arthur Smith was Ben Johnson because everybody was like, Arthur Smith, the next offensive mind. And, you a Steelers fan, that's not necessarily the case. So I always think Mike Vrabel did more with less in Tennessee, which is always a plus. But also I think he's going to get a bad rap because, the old adage is that Bill Belichick coaching tree, they suck when they get the head coaching job. But he's not in the Belichick tree. He made his bones outside of Belichick coaching other places. He's been a head coach. He's been a coordinator. He's been a position coach. So he has the experience. And I think he was the best coach on the market to me. I think because he builds a culture and he automatically is going to raise the floor for wins just by stepping in the building. They go to a 9-win team just with him there. And think about how bad that roster is as it currently is constructed right now. If you telling me a coach can go in and make that a 9-win team, I got to love it. So I think it's a great hire.
I don't think that's a 9-win team.
I do.
On top of the whole Vrabel thing, I think the one thing that you're forgetting is he had Derrick Henry. I think now that we look back at everything, Derrick Henry might be the best running back in the NFL we've had in the past decade. Saquon's getting close. But when you look at his longevity, JT, he never gets hurt. He's a workhorse.
I'll do you one better. He had the AFC South. If you really want to call a spade a spade. So, I mean, the AFC East, it's really the Bills. The Bills are the only team that got their shit together. So the Patriots could easily be right back up there too. So
maybe.
I like it.
I still have that. It's easy to look good when you have Derrick Henry in a conservative offense. You're going to be in every game. You just are. Right.
I feel like I know where you're going with this next one. Aaron Glenn, New York Jets. Love it, like it, trash it.
All right. So for the Jets, I love it. Overall, I'm going to like it because, Aaron Glenn made this comment like, hey, we're the New York Jets. We were made for this stuff. No, you weren't. You haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969. Don't come in here with false bravado. I expect better from you, Aaron.
What do you want to say? Hey, look, man, we suck forever.
No, but
we're not going to win off the bat. We might suck year one, but year two, we'll win 7 games, and then we'll start turning around. Like, what do you want him to say?
Just stick to the script, and then prove everyone wrong.
We're going to be a good team. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's what you're supposed to say.
Listen, I like it. Because it's going to stabilize, I think, the organization and rebuild the culture. I'm just not sure I love it, 1, for him, but 2, it's still the New York Jets. JT, until they show me otherwise, I'm only going to like it because you got to have everything else. You got to have the GM. You got to have the quarterback.
Woody Johnson got to get the hell out of the way.
I still don't know what is going to happen. So I love the hire. I like it overall. But the reason why I can't love it overall is because he's still with the Jets, unfortunately.
I love it just because I feel like one, he's way more prepared to take on this job than Robert Saleh was when he took the head coaching job. And I got to watch Aaron Glenn on the season where the Lions were on the Hard Knocks. And one, obviously you said it, like, he's a great defensive coach. Like, you saw what he did with that unit this year with all the injuries. Like, they were still a competitive, like, nasty bunch on defense. So his side of the ball will be locked up. But he just strikes me as a guy that he's very good relationships with other coaches. So I feel like guys will want to go work for him. Like, if I'm a young offensive guy and I need a shot as an OC, like, I want to go work for Aaron Glenn. Like, he seems like he's going to let me do my thing. He's going to provide me with an environment to grow, to showcase my talent as a play caller. Like, he just seems like one of those guys where, like, you know, I'm going to this job and, you know, he's just going to get all the credit no matter what I do, and everything's going to be about him. He don't seem like that type of guy. Like, some coaches do when they take over. Like, he just impresses me as a guy where other coaches want to go work for him. And I think in New York that's important because they are really just, you know, a quarterback here, an offensive coordinator that's competent here, away from being good. Like, they got a good roster. Like, I think I love it just because I think he's the perfect man for them right now in that situation. I think he'll right the ship, so I love it. I know you got your doubts, but I mean, they could have done a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm not sold on the rest of the organization.
I know where you're going with this one. Pete Carroll, Raiders.
Oh, I love it.
I do it. I love
it.
Any old dude with glory days, he gonna love.
Listen, of all the places
they could have hired Dick LeBeau and this man would have loved it.
JT, of all the places Pete Carroll could have went, this fits him best. I mean, for his age and the energy he still has, he's going to be out on the Vegas Strip with the players. I mean, this is great. This is like when he was at USC. It just fit him, right? Hollywood just fit him. Vegas just fits him, you know? Like, but the difference is he's going to bring discipline and stability to an organization that while you and I thought Antonio Pierce could do it.
Like, you thought Antonio Pierce could do it.
He's going to finally bring that discipline and stability. And I don't think he's going to care what Mark Davis says. He's going to be like, yo, I'm 76, 77. I've got a Super Bowl. I've got multiple titles at USC, even though they took one away from me.
Well, it's funny you said that about Mark Davis because Mark Davis already basically said, like, he's happy to have him in the building because he hasn't had a guy that he trusts running everything football-wise since Gruden. So, like, the respect's already there. Like, he's like, all right, I trust you. I'm going to get the hell out of your way.
Yep. So, I mean, I love it. Now, they got to get him a quarterback or a veteran quarterback to really help. I don't even think Pete Carroll wants Kirk Cousins.
And it's either going to be him or Russell Wilson. I agree with you. I love it. Just for the simple fact that every team in that division has proven this formula works. Like, you get an experienced winner that has all this on his resume, and you turn your franchise around in a year or two. Like, Harbaugh did it with the Chargers year one. Sean Payton did it with the Broncos year two. Andy Reid, we forgot. He got fired in Philly. There's a reason he's not with them anymore. Turn that Chiefs franchise into maybe the second best dynasty of all time. We're going to discuss that later. But this formula has shown that it works in this division. Rinse, wash, repeat. So I love it, man. Like, they got a great core around them because Tom Brady, Spytek is there. Those two were together when they won the Super Bowl with the Bucs. So there's a lot of winners in that building that know what they're doing, a lot of football experience. So, I mean, how could you not love this? Like, I know you love Bisaccia and Antonio Pierce, you know, the tough guys, you know, with the clipboards, but this is the real deal. Like, Pete Carroll, like you said, won at SC, should have had 2 Super Bowls with the Seahawks. So, I mean, you could have done a lot worse than this.
You bring up a good point. This is clearly the best division of coaches, right?
They have to have, like, what, at least like 700 wins or 500 wins between them. Like,
well, I mean, you look at the number of Super Bowls. Harbaugh has not won one, but Payton has. Obviously, Carroll has, and then
Reid has 2. That's 4.
Has 3.
Yes, 3.
Maybe 4. So I mean, right there, you got 5. Maybe the only division, not Super Bowl wise, but overall, maybe the AFC North. I mean, you know, you got Tomlin and Harbaugh.
Them coaches are not good. Mike Tomlin is the only one I trust because I do not trust Stefanski and I do not trust Zach Taylor. You crazy?
All right, go ahead. Next.
I'm not gonna say that. You said the AFC North or NFC North?
AFC North.
Oh, the NFC North got way better coaches than the AFC North.
I disagree. I mean, you got the Bears.
So O'Connell, LaFleur. O'Connell, LaFleur, and Dan Campbell. I know we want to, write Dan Campbell off as this bumbling idiot that just lucked into this.
None have been to a Super Bowl, and you got Ben Johnson. At least with the AFC North, Harbaugh and Tomlin each with a Super Bowl.
They've been coaching for 40 years.
Zach Taylor to a Super Bowl.
All right, whatever. All right, next one. Most desirable remaining NFL job: the Saints head coaching position, the Bucs offensive coordinator position, or the Seahawks OC.
This is easy. You said it earlier. It's the Bucs OC job. I mean, you go from Canales to Liam Cohen. You've got young running backs. You have a whole stable of running backs. You got a good offensive.
For somebody who don't want running backs to get paid, you sure are there with the Bucs running backs.
You got my guy Jalen McMillan. You got my guy Mike Evans. Maybe they bring back Godwin, and then on top of that, you got Baker Mayfield at a reasonable contract. I mean, that they've shown that's the prime position.
I feel like Baker Mayfield is the type of guy at this point in his career. He's never going to break the bank. Like, he's never going to be like, all right, I got to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. So you're always going to be able to surround him with talent as long as he's there.
He'll be money-wise, he'll be right under that tier of the Mahomes, the Burrows, the Lamars, and Josh Allen. He'll be in that $35 million range. It'll maybe go to 40 once the cap goes, but.
All right. I agree with you. It's the Bucs OC position because they've shown it's a direct pipeline to getting a head coaching job. Like, we've seen it the past 2 years. Shout out Todd Bowles for staying, and everybody's always like, "Oh, they need to fire him. They need some offensive guy." He's like, "All right, I'll show you." All he does is, bring in guys, cultivate them, send him on his way. He created a tree. He's smart. It's the Bucs OC job. Most stability, and teams look at that. It's like, you have success there, you could be a head coach. So it's the pipeline to having a job. Ooh, I forgot about this one. Last one. Tougher task: coaching the Cowboys or the Lions, replacing both of their coordinators?
It's a very interesting question. Made you think a little bit. No, not really. It's easy. It's an easy answer. It's coaching the Cowboys. JT, it's because of Jerry Jones. They have not been to an NFC title game since January 1996. 29 years.
You were like, what, like 30 then?
Wow. See the disrespect.
I mean, my math is a little off, but it's pretty close. I come
on this show very nice, very gracious to have you on, and you got to take personal digs for no reason. Like, come on, quit being insecure about yourself, bro.
That's your age. So you were 30 in the 90s.
So 29 years they have not made the NFC title game, right? The one common denominator.
History lesson on the Cowboys.
The one common denominator is Jerry Jones. Not even Stephen Jones. Jerry Jones. So how can you say it's easier than hiring two coordinators? It's not. It has proven over 3 decades. Think about this, JT. 3 decades.
First of all, you act like they're replacing nobody. Like, these are literally 2 of the hottest head coaching candidates the past 2 years. No, here's the thing. I'm going to interrupt you because I know you're about to go on this pro football history, NFL films, save all diatribe that I don't give a damn about. I agree with you. It is the Cowboys because of Jerry Jones. But go ahead. Finish up.
I'm just saying, he says he wants to win, but doesn't show it. He doesn't go out and get free agents. He signs everyone else but your franchise quarterback. What kind of message does that send to everyone else in the organization? Then you finally sign him late. Like, what does that tell you? So the reason why coaching the Cowboys is also more difficult is you've got to work under Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is going to put his finger on everything, his thumb on everything, and it becomes way too convoluted for a head coach.
This man with all the big words today: insecure, convoluted. Anything else you want to throw out the source board?
Insecure is a big word, bro. Come on, I know you see how much better. Insecure.
Any other big words you want to use?
You were waiting all night to throw the glasses on. You were waiting all night to throw the glasses on. Oh, you're not going to give an answer? You did already?
I already said it. You didn't. You see, you're reading comprehension, bro.
Perfect.
Listen.
We don't want to listen to you anyway. Perfect. All right. So last segment, everyone's favorite, Forget About It or Fugazi. We'll read a statement, and if we agree with it, we think it's a hot take, we'll say forget about it. If we disagree with it, we think it's a trash statement, we'll say Fugazi. All right, JT. First one. The Chiefs will surpass the Patriots dynasty if they three-peat.
Fugazi. I'm sorry.
What?
That was it. How many? Will they have the same amount of championships?
No.
Will they surpass them?
Yes.
They will surpass them. They will surpass them. They will surpass them if they win this championship.
Forget about it. Absolutely.
No, I'm saying they will surpass them in the amount of Super Bowls they've won.
No.
Then you can't say that. Because the reason the Patriots are the standard is because they have 6 Super Bowls. Like, I'm sorry. Now, the three-peat is impressive. Don't get me wrong. Like, there is an argument to be made. The three-peat is impressive, never been done. And I feel like the degree of difficulty in the division is much harder because this was a couple years ago, you did all the research and you were like, all the winning seasons that the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins had and during that Brady time period. Yeah, because they're not relevant. But I think the difficulty within the division is the argument to make. But I'm sorry, until you pass them in the amount of titles, I can't say you're better than them. Like, you know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl, much less just get there. Like, they got there every year, and I'm sorry, like, they were taking best shots from these elite defenses where you can really kill a man on the field. Like, I'm sorry. Until they get as many or more Super Bowls than the Patriots, I can't say they're going to be a better dynasty.
Oh, let's forget about it. If they win it, JT, no one, not even the Patriots, have won 3 in a row. That goes to show you how difficult it is. And yes, you can say longevity. I'll give you that. That's fine. But if you're telling me which dynasty I would rather have if they win now, I would take the Chiefs for 2 reasons. The three-peat, no one's ever done that. And 2, they will be the only team along with the 70 Steelers to win 4 in 6 years. So they did 2 things the Patriots couldn't do in 20 years. So how are the Patriots better? Just because of longevity? Hey, great. Let's throw you a parade.
They got 6.
They've got, and that's fine. But the Chiefs are going to have 4.
Then when they
years.
In the words of my boy, don't call me when you're in my neighborhood. Call me when you're on my block. When they get to 6, we're going to have a conversation. But they're not there yet.
They're going to surpass your neighborhood.
And when they do, we'll have that conversation. When they do, we'll have that conversation.
It's a hypothetical statement. So
when they do, we'll have that conversation. I disagree with you. Next one.
That is the hardest thing to ever do in the history of the NFL. The hardest thing ever.
So if they lose this game, what's the gap between them and the Patriots? Because then all your time frames are out the window now.
Well, there would obviously be a gap. You can't only have won 3 when the Patriots have won 6.
It's crazy. I know the three-peat is historical, but it's crazy that one win still doesn't get them closer to surpassing the Patriots, but the gap between them and the Patriots, whether they win or lose this game, like this one game is that important, even though it's not going to surpass the amount of championships. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, if they lose, the gap is super huge. They might never make it up. But if they win, they pass them.
I didn't say huge. I said there's a gap if they don't win because you got to win. That's the whole part of the three-peat. That's why it's the most difficult thing to ever do in the history of the NFL.
I'm just surprised these boys are still healthy. That's a lot of games, man. A lot of games in the NFL. All right, next one. The 76ers need to blow it up, i.e., move on from Joel Embiid and tank for your guy, Cooper Flagg. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Forget about it. You got to. That's the way to do it these days. I mean, you still have Tyrese Maxey. That's what I like about it, right? You now have a superstar already. You bring in another young superstar in Cooper Flagg. Now you got something to build on. And both of their contracts are not ridiculous. So even if it wasn't to tank for Cooper Flagg, I think you do got to blow it up and keep Maxey. I mean, time is done. The process has finished.
Yeah, it's forget about it. Not only do they need to move on from Embiid, but they need to see is anybody, still interested in the bones of Paul George. Like, any way to move on from those two, and like you said, Max is already there. He's already proven he can run this team, and it already is his team. And now you bring in Cooper Flagg, who I don't think he's generational, but I mean, he's up there when we're talking about number 1 picks over the last 10 years, like as far as like the hype. So I think he'll be a really good NBA player. So you have those two guys. I mean, that's the way to go. That's going to make you the most competitive over the next 5 to 6 years. So I agree with you.
All right, your team. The Jimmy Butler drama is a black eye on the Pat Riley Heat legacy.
This is tough. I say forget about it. Specifically for Pat Riley, man, I feel like he's done this with everybody that's come to Miami that's a superstar, man. Like you can't, this type of league, the way it is now, the way, you know, people have so much guaranteed money, the way how powerful the CBA is and stuff, you can't talk to these players any kind of way. Like all that, you know, remember the Titan style coaching and front office running the team like he's Coach Boone. Like, you can't do that shit anymore. Like, players don't want to come to Miami because, you know, like, oh, they're going to make you run, you know, they make you do all this unnecessary stuff that's going to hinder my career. Like, you can't do that. Like, look how he talked to LeBron James when he didn't get it done. And, like, I feel like we never recovered from that. Like, you don't publicly call out the best player maybe you've ever had in your team history because he didn't get it done one time. Like, I feel like the way he handled the LeBron situation is kind of the reason why he left. And imagine if he was more publicly supportive of LeBron and LeBron would have stayed in Miami. Like, this might have been the best dynasty of all time if they would have kept winning. Like, because we saw what he did when he went to Cleveland. Like, he went to the finals every year he was there after he left us. So I feel like, yeah, it is a black eye on Pat Riley. All that goodwill that he's built up, he's run off two of the three best players we had in our franchise history, and it's because of him. Like, he got to adapt with the times. Like, you can't talk to these guys like that. Like, you got to find a way to make it work in public while getting it done your way behind the scenes. And I feel like his my way or the highway attitude has held us back.
So before I get to the answer, the whole LeBron thing, he was always going back to Cleveland. All right, I'm convinced of that.
I mean, but we don't know that. But we don't know that.
Can I explain?
Pat Riley didn't help our case at all.
Bro, you went already. Time to let me.
But admit it. He might have gone back, but Pat Riley did not help it at all.
He was always going to go back as soon as the plane landed in South Florida after the decision because he saw them burning his jerseys. And we know LeBron's insecure, and that's okay. Like, he is insecure.
Put on my glasses and give them big words.
He is insecure. Big words. Man, I don't know what they teach at UCF.
Hey, man. Hey, I don't know what you did at work today, man, but you read a lot. That's the first time he's used that word, insecure. It's the word of the day. Let me write that down.
If insecure is a big word to you, man, you better go get your refund back from UCF. But listen, as soon as he saw them burning his jersey, he was going back eventually. Now, to get to the point of Pat Riley, how he handled LeBron and D Wade and stuff, listen, JT, if you don't think that was a black eye, then why would this be the tipping point, the Jimmy Butler saga? In 20, 25 years, no one's going to remember this because of all the other crazy stuff Jimmy Butler did.
People hate him anyway.
Chicago, Minnesota, Philly. All right. So to me, this is Fugazi. It's not a black eye at all because this is how we're going to remember Pat Riley. Showtime Lakers, Magic Johnson, and the Heatles bringing not just Bosh, obviously.
Who called them that? I feel like I lived in Miami. We never called them the Heatles. I always hated that name. This shit's so corny.
But also LeBron. And it will go down in history, his conversation with LeBron, throwing the rings on the table of why he has to go to Miami. That's how he's going to be remembered. He's going to be remembered as the Godfather. That's the legacy. He cultures the legacy. Like, so this is barely a blip on the radar. Sorry.
All right, last one. Sports fans owe Ryan Day and Nick Sirianni apologies. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Forget about it, of course. I mean, when everyone wanted to run Sirianni out of town last year, what did I say? I was like, this guy.
This year they wanted to run him out of town.
What's that?
I feel like this year they wanted to run him out of town too. It's every year they want to get rid of him.
The season. And what did I say at the end of last year? This guy just took you to a Super Bowl the year before. And I know you got Hurts and all these other guys, but it's not easy getting to a Super Bowl. Ask a lot of those guys. Ask Kyle Shanahan, right? Everyone thought the 49ers would get back. It's not easy. And, like, here's a young offensive-minded head coach. You've got Jalen Hurts. Like, you've got to work on that relationship. And I think they have. They may not be best of friends, but I do think they've come to a point of respect. And the same with Ryan Day. Listen, you and I defended Jim Harbaugh when the question was, should Michigan let him go? We were like, he wins 91% of his games or something besides the Ohio State game. Like, you could do a lot worse. Like, it's not that easy to win in the Big Ten. And eventually Harbaugh got over the hump. Same with Ryan Day. And it's like, listen, I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I wouldn't have wanted Ryan Day out. Yes, does it suck he lost 3 or 4 in a row to Michigan? Absolutely. But he always recruits well. He always has his teams not losing to the teams they're
the offenses are always tops of the country.
Yeah. Like he beats the teams he's supposed to beat. That's what I love. Like if Miami did that, we would have been in the playoffs this year. And those are the type of coaches that end up winning because you can get over the hump with talent at that point. If you win the games you're supposed to win.
Yeah, me included. It's forget about it, especially with Ryan Day, because I feel like Jim Harbaugh got us with the whole like born on third base comment. It's true. Like I feel like for a period of time he was holding them back because that team is so talented, and it's always one of those things like, is he recruiting at Ohio State or is Ohio State recruiting itself? Because kid's gonna go there regardless of who the coach is. Like we've seen it through multiple coaches. So, but in the moment he won, he got it done. So I do owe him an apology, and they should keep him. Same thing with Sirianni. Like you made a good point. Like he took you to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts had the game that Josh Allen should have had against the Chiefs in that game, like a damn near perfect game. And it's like you didn't beat them because they just great. Like it's hard to find coaches like that, especially at the NFL level, where your coordinators work well with you, the players love you, and you get it done in a division where the fans are brutal. Like we always talk about the Philly fans are the toughest crowd. Like if you 8 or 9 wins, they about ready to get you up out of there. So like he's dealing with that every year, and they're performing. So yeah, I think sports fans do owe both apologies, and they need to appreciate what they've done. So I agree. Forget about it.
Yep. All right. So JT, hopefully we're going to hold Super Bowl predictions for next week. That way we try to make sure.
Do you remember who we picked to make the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I know. I picked the Chiefs and the Lions.
I think I picked the Eagles and the Ravens.
Okay. All right. So, hey, had we taken the Chiefs, the Lions, Eagles?
I think one of us going to be right.
That's pretty good. Well, I mean, we were half right. I mean, Chiefs, Eagles, right? I had Chiefs, Lions, which I was so close on, and you had Eagles, Ravens.
Nah, you was nowhere close. They got destroyed.
Hey, T, I mean, they were the 1 seed. Come on, give me a break. This guy acting like Detroit. That
was the worst 1 seed performance I've seen since the Titans.
I've got to go back and pull up the film because I bet you dogged me for that Detroit pick. You didn't believe in them.
I probably didn't dog you.
You didn't believe in them. So let's make sure we have a episode next week, a show next week, so we can make our predictions then. So we'll hold off on our predictions. How about that?
So you say.
Hey, try to fit us in. Try to fit me and the fans into your busy schedule, all right? We know
I'll look at my calendar.
All right, we know you're on a permanent vacation anyway. All right, so JT, great episode as always. And to the fans and listeners out there, thank you for tuning in and or listening. And as always, remember, you can find JT and the Don All Sports Podcast wherever you find all of your other favorite podcasts. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And remember to follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Don. We can be found on Instagram, X, Facebook, and is our TikTok still up, JT?
Yeah, that's the last time I checked. I don't know how long it'll be there, but it's still there.
All right, and TikTok. So, JT, great episode. Great to be back, man. Until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.